Good afternoon, everyone. I think we are live currently, and I will be just waiting for a few people and then we get started. So today's video will be quite interesting because, as some of you guys know, I already created like this integration video with this nice red Mini Cooper. Let me just browse it. It is an integration, nuke, I think this guy. And I want to create a similar tutorial now with a more interior based scene. So yesterday I was out shooting a new HDR and the HDR looks like this. So it is a garage scene and I will be using this to create another integration video showing you how to wrap up or create this environment to make a proper high dynamic range image, and I will show you how to set up the nuke comp to make everything look pretty nice. As I said, I will be waiting a few more minutes. I guess I will be starting at 5 past, so it's 4 more minutes and then we get going. And I got a second monitor now, so I have the chat window open on a different screen so I can follow along and don't clutter the view. Okay, I hope the stream is good. I see a few posts. Cool, let's see this. Okay, so I guess you can see this. I can see this as well. So what else is there to say? So that's running. Yeah, I guess we will be just waiting a few more minutes and then for everyone to follow along. For now, I will just set up the project. So currently, really fresh Maya, nothing happened here. So what I mostly do, I set a new project. So I go to the project window, create a new project, go to the path, which is in work, training, live, integration, Maya. So it will be in here. And then the project is called Maya. And then I create this. So this is now, the project is set up. I will go to my scenes directory and call this integration v0101 or v101.mb. That's a good start. Okay, let's try this again. What notification bell? Oh, that one for yeah, accessing the stream, I guess. Okay, so let's try this again. I wonder why this crashed. That's very interesting. Okay, so let's see if the project is actually set up. Work, training, live, integration, Maya, set folder. Let's try this again into integration.v1.01.mb. That's very strange. Why is that happening? It's a good start, I must say. So we have 1 more minute until we start. No, it's just a beta version which I am testing, so don't worry, it's nothing, the same features for you guys apply. It's just something I've installed to test out a beta version of Maya 18. They worked on XGen and they worked on the new render layer system, render setup system. So it will be interesting. First of all, we need to be able to save this damn scene. So let me just check the preferences. Because I changed this to be OS native instead of the Maya default, it might be related. So let's just try this again, just to save it again. it's a bit embarrassing. So let's just try this again. Training, live, training, Maya, set, save, and let's just save simple. What is going on? Okay, that's a bit crazy now. So I think I cannot do the tutorial without being able to save. No, it's not officially released. Anyway, so let's just start off with the tutorial. And the first thing I will do is a cleanup of the HDR. So this is the current HDR. And you can see there's some weird things going on in the bottom here. So I wanted to clean that up, and as well on the top. And then we need to create this image is currently a simple JPEG. So you don't see any dynamic range. There's really nothing going on. It just clips the image. So I will be showing you how you can create like a pseudo high dynamic range image. It's a shot from an HDRI. It's shot from a phone, sorry. And I can show you the app I was using if I can connect my phone quickly. Okay, so let me just connect my phone. If that is working, hopefully that is working. So I guess some of you guys have seen this already. Anyway, so here's a phone, and there's an app called from Google. It's called Google Street View. I'm not promoting anyone here. So use that app or whatever photosphere app you have, and just take your 360 degrees image. And this is now the one I was shooting in Richmond yesterday, coming from hockey practice, and I just shot this sphere rather quickly. You can see my hockey gear is hidden here. Anyway, so that's that. And then I was shooting some background plates, and that is that. So the plates are here, which are accessible if you want to follow along, but it requires a patron reward. So you need to become a patron of mine to access this, because it takes effort for me to prepare all this. So a little reward would be nice. So if you want to follow along, there is this Patreon page. It is in the description below, and it looks like this. So you can access this, and then it will be CG integration source materials, and you'll need to unlock this access tutorial resource tier, which will grant you access to all the upcoming tutorials and all their source materials. So that is what that is. So to clean up this HDR, I have used a few techniques, and the most rewarding one, I guess, is to split up the HDR in several cubes and then paint on those cubes, and I will show you what that looks like. So I have prepared a little script which is called Prepper, ENV Prepper. It looks like this. It's nothing really fancy. I'm just too lazy to set it up from scratch, because it requires a few trial and errors to get it right the first time. So this is the original image, and I'm reformatting this to be 3K by 1.5 just to make it a 2:1 ratio. So I just need to see if this is still running, because I don't see any feedback, I guess. Okay, I think everyone is here still, hopefully. Okay, so this is a 2:1 ratio, and what I'm doing then, I'm creating a spherical transform matte. It is just a reformat again to be proper spherical, and then I'm actually extracting cube information from each sphere. So I'm creating 2D not distorted images from this 2:1 ratio map, and then at the bottom I bring them all back together to create the original image. You can see it takes a while because it's extracting those cubes and then stitching them back together. So this image should be exactly the same as the one on top, which it is. The benefit of having this setup is that you can actually paint without any distortion, and you can extract material. So let's go to the bottom one, which is this. And let's just paint out this, my foot or whatever this thing is. And it's really simple. You just create a roto, or like a paint, roto paint, and then you just use the clone brush tool similar as on Photoshop, and let's just clone this out. It does not need to be perfect. As you can see, I'm just doing it rather quickly, and then that is clean up. And if you have a tripod and you've seen, this is the best way of removing tripods. And then if you bring this back together, you can see it's super clean, and you see how clean this got painted out. And if you wouldn't do this, if you would paint out on this one, you would see some distortion and wouldn't be as nice. So the same for the top guy. This one. So this is actually pretty good, but in some cases you would have the sun up here, or you would have some distortion because you did not shoot the 360 properly. So this would be the way to clean that up as well. So and then you can actually go to all the other ones. Mostly there's not much cleanup involved. So if you, for instance, if you want to remove this car now, we can very easily just do that using a paint operation again, using the clone. And let's say we want to just use the left parking space here as well. I'm just painting this over now. Let's just use this guy. You can see it's rather messy what I'm doing now. But if you want to remove a car, that's the way to do it. Let's just copy these guys over. Obviously, you can make a way nicer job if you spend more time with this. Like this, maybe. And then I would guess I would use a blur just to break out my bad seams here. Something like this. So if we stitch this together now, where is it? I think it's there. Yeah, so this is where the car is gone now, and this is mostly used for lighting. So it doesn't need to be that accurate to create those perfect HDR maps. So the next thing what we want to do is we need to actually create this high dynamic range image from this, and currently it is being clipped, as I said before. So the next step would be to create a keyer, not IKEA, but a keyer, which is a luminance-based key. So if you have a heavy cleanup script, I would encourage you to write it out. So let's just write this out first. This is totally not heavy what I just did, but I would just want to clean it up so you could see the steps involved. So I create a write node, and I make this time an EXR, and I add cleanup like CC. That's like something I like to do for color correction or whatever. And then 32-bit is good enough, and then I just hit render on frame 1, and it exports me the EXR file. And then I copy the path, paste the path, and then I have the cleanup version right here, and I have the full performance. So now I create the keyer node, and what it does, it creates an alpha channel based on luminance values. So what you can do, you can actually grade those values, and then you get a proper mask for bright spots in your scene. So you can see the more I increase the input value, the alpha, I guess, the stronger the mask will be, and I only isolate reflections and lights, which is exactly what I want, because I want to use this information to create high dynamic range images or light bulbs or reflections or whatever. So we can actually increase the range as well if you go to 2, and I think you just need to reload this to update the view. There you go. Okay, so I'm just clipping these a bit more. There you go. Let's just try this. And then we have a mask for the light bulbs. So currently they are clipped, and what we can do now is we can use this output and create a exposure node, for instance, if you want to use that, or you can use a blur, or you can do several options. So let's just move these guys down. I'm still a bit worried about Maya not saving, but we will get there. So that's the exposure node. Exposure node is something like a gain, so it just increases luminance based in f-stops or exposure stops. So I'm connecting the mask, like the output of the keyer, to the exposure, and then I'm switching this to stops, which is like the same as EV stops in a camera, and then I'm just increasing them. And you can see I get now a dynamic range in this image. So this is the default, and if I stop down, you can see there's still some luminance values going on here. And it's obviously way too strong now, and I need to create a better alpha mask to get this working properly. So we can do something more like this, just to clip those values a bit more or soften them out. And then we can create another keyer, which is more tight. So this is keyer 1. And by the way, I did not prepare this tutorial, so this is just doing things on the fly as you guys would do it. So I did not, normally I do a test tutorial first to see how if everything works out. And you can see that things did not work out with Maya, so I need to find a way to fix this before we continue. So this is this f-stop version. That's too bright, I guess. Okay, that's the one stop, and then we use another exposure node for a shallower alpha channel. Like this. Let's see what we got here. If I stop this up, you should see visually no difference, but internally you get more information in here, I hope. There we go. So you see they get more information in here. And what you can do then, you can actually blur the alpha channel just to get it a softer fall off. So blur alpha and blur it a bit so you don't get these hot specks. Okay, so now what values do we have? We've got a value of 3 for this neon bulb instead of a clip value of 1, right? So let's see. Now it's actually a thing which we can actually already test out to see how it works in lighting. And I think these reflections are way too strong. So I might just use a roto cleanup to ignore these alpha channels, because this would generate a light source, which we don't really want for a static image. So what I could do here, I could just either paint out this. Yeah, let's just paint this out using a roto paint and just using a brush, and then we just paint it black. If I change the color to be dark, no value, and we make it bigger. Why didn't this work? Let me just double check. It should be actually painting black. Oh, because I'm not painting the alpha channel, I guess. Just the alpha channel. There we go. And let's just try this again. We can also just invert this, I guess. Interesting that it doesn't paint over because I'm... Let me just check confirm. You see, it's also, most of the time it's just a trial and error, and then I get there at some point. So instead of using this, let's just use a normal roto map, and let's just create a shape quickly. I think this would be anyways faster. So I'm just doing a rough, like a path, which will just isolate the floor from the top like this. And then I can actually change this guide from color to be black, and there we go. And now we can either blur it, which I guess I will do. I will just create a blur node here, blur the alpha channel. I guess I need to replace this. Oh, maybe I need to feather it then without doing the blur. So let's just feather it. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. And then we can move the whole thing a bit down like this, feather a bit more. Okay, so this is now the new alpha channel instead of this guy. So if we connect this, we should have only exposure on the top things. So let's just double check. If we connect this guy, it should be working. So the next step is doing the same thing for the other map. So I'm just copying this whole thing and doing this. And now we should only be blurring the top thing, only the lights. So yeah, that's exactly what's happening. All right, so this would be the first HDR to test it out. So I will create another write node. I'm just copying the previous one. And this should be photosphere CC. So I will just call this cc.edit or something. So this is now or let's just call this v1. That makes more sense. v01. Saving the nuke script under the projects training live integration nuke. And this is, I don't know, I shall call this comp, whatever, nothing very crazy. And F7 to export, and let's go. So I hope everyone follows along. Let me know if there are any questions. I'm following the chat, so if there is anything you want to ask, let me know. Okay. All right, so let's try this Maya thing again. It's super strange that it doesn't work. Yeah, where are you guys from actually? Let me know in the comments below, just that I see from where you guys are watching. I know in Europe it's already pretty late, so it will be still interesting though. Yeah, obviously the whole process can be done in Photoshop. Vancouver, Germany. Kölner da, super. Guten Abend, Jungs. Willkommen. Okay, so let's try this Maya thing again. I hope I can save it. I'm not sure why it's not saving my scene. So it might be that it's MB related. So let's go to desktop again or somewhere quickly just to try to save. If I can't save, then I'm not sure if there's a sense to continue this tutorial. What is going on? I might be deleting my preferences now. Honestly, I'm sure it was working just yesterday. So let's just try to go to my folder. Nottingham Trickster. Cool. Lots of Germans there. Welcome, guys. Nice to see you guys around. It's Saturday. Why aren't you drinking a few beers? Anyways. Okay, so heading back to documents, and I'm just renaming my Maya folder. So it is regenerating all the preferences. So if I start a new Maya now, we should get a new Maya folder with default Maya settings. Yeah, it might be beta related. So this is now, let's see if I can just save as default session without any fancy settings. Okay, that did work. So frick. I might be now, should I just do this in this UI? Okay, never mind. I'll just do it in this UI. Okay, let's just do this. Oh wait, maybe I need to, let's just do one thing before we do that. So I go to Maya backup 18, copy my env file, and go to 18 and edit this guy. Okay, let's just paste this over, replace. So this is now my env file with my custom module paths for my LightShader setup. I'll go in detail over that. No, I have not tried the Ricoh Teta camera. It's pretty awesome, I know. But I just wanted to show you a quick way, like without any expensive hardware, how you can actually create an HDR and create nice images. So let's see if we can. Light shaders are working. Let's see if I can save now. One last time. Scenes. Man, it's all messed up now. Let's try this. Okay, it does work. Okay, I guess we will be working in this environment. I will just be updating my setup quickly, just to kind of get it working again. Outliner. Oh, it's all different now. Let me just rearrange this a bit. Otherwise, I can't be working. I know it's a bit of a waste of time now, which is unfortunate because I did not test it previously. I should have done. So in the future tutorials, I won't be doing any tutorials without prior testing. Okay, so outliner is here, which should go into a new tab. Anyways, there we go. And this guy is attribute editor. Actually, it helps because you can see now how I set up my my windows most of the time. So render view goes closed. Okay, so this is now my basic setup. I will set the project window again to go to my default path. Oh, it's all my favorites are now gone. Work, training, live, integration, Maya. Okay. So let's set this and save it. And save as. Training scenes. Yeah, it's saved, finally. Okay, let's see. Rolling drums. Yeah. Okay, so let's try first to get in this HDR. So I will be using Arnold. I will show you my Arnold version, which is 2.001. And if you want to follow along, just try to use that one because there are always new features and updates. So the first thing what I will do is I will go to the node editor. You can use the hypershade. I just always like to use the node editor because the node editor always shows all the nodes and the hypershade only shows like shaders. It does not really show shapes, which is sometimes a bit annoying. So let's just create an AI image. I'm using AI images because I just want to, there you can use file nodes as well, but they have like these 2D texture placement nodes, which I not always am a big fan of. I'm just changing default settings quickly. I don't like the swatch render. I like quick small bucket sizes for faster feedback on smaller resolutions. That is that for now. Double click AI image, go to the live folder, integration resources, and that's VO1 EXR. And this is now, actually, is my script now here? I guess not. Okay, anyways, so let's create a lights skydome light. There it is, and connect the image to the color. You won't see this in the viewport because the AI image does not support that. You would need to use a file node to see it in the viewport. I like to reduce the sky radius to 0 so it's not visible in my UI. I will be in Cologne. That's a good question. Yes, but it will be over Christmas to visit my girlfriend's family and my girlfriend as well, obviously. So it will just be for family time. Okay, Skydome connected. Let's create a sphere and a plane just to see how it looks. Currently, nothing special connected. Just a dome light. Reorder and saving, and let's just start the render. And it will now generate a TX file on the fly, and then we can see what we get. So this is now the current view, and the shadows are pretty good. Like a good HDR defines, like a good HDR is how good the shadows are. Shader. Yeah, so now you can see we get like some really soft shadows, which we would get in this environment because we have so many light sources. It is very diffuse. So they might be a bit too soft. So to compensate for that, we can go back to Nuke and we could just increase the exposure values so we get a bit harsher shadows. But let's first see how this environment looks in the reflection of the car at some point. So assign new material, AI standard shader, and I like to have it in my favorites. So I'm right-clicking on the shader in this panel, add to favorites, and it pops up here. And I like to remove all those default ones. Sorry, I'm just showing you how I also set up my Maya. Maybe it might be helpful for some of you guys. So right click now, favorite, and then there is the standard surface shader. Let's make it a chrome. So let's see, how does it look? Yeah, I think the reflections are pretty accurate, and you can see the garage in here, which is pretty cool. All working as expected. So the next step would be to first bring in the model, I guess, and maybe to set up the render camera and the backplate. So I'm not sure which one to use just yet. So let's check the plates. That's where the car would be. I shot the sphere kind of around here. What else do we have? Maybe a lower angle. Skew angle. I think we go for this one. This is pretty cool. So we can have the car in this spot here. And what we need to do for the plate, we need to paint out the reflections because the car would be here. It would be blocking the reflection. So there is some work involved in that. For the cologne guys, actually, have you been to the new ice cream shop from Lukas Podolsky? He opened it, I think, today. Have you been there actually? Let me know in a question. So I will be cropping this view to be 16:9 or something similar. Crop, and let's just create a quick crop, hard word, format 16:9. And let's see how we should frame this. I always like to have, like using the rule of thirds. And so I think this is nice. So if the car would be here, I think this would be a pretty good framing. So let's just use this. Currently, I won't do any color corrections. I will just write this guy out, copy the path, and change the name to be plate, plate.jpg. So I'm pretty sure there are lots of different techniques how to set something up. So I'm just using whatever I learned and what I like to do. So it might be wrong for you guys, but it's how I like to work. Okay, so heading back over to Maya, and what the next step would be to align the camera to the view, right? So what you can do, you can use the default camera backplate, or what you can do, which I like to do, is use the Arnold render view and go to the settings and load in a background color image. Background image, there you go, and then you choose the image, which is displayed. I think I did export it wrong. Yeah, I did. I need to crop and reformat, obviously, so then it's better. There we go. And actually, let's just reduce the size. It's now 4K. Let's just scale this down to be something more reasonable. Let's just go for 1920 by 1080. There we go. Save and F7 and write this out one more time. Back to Maya, loading the plate again. Hopefully this updates. There we go. It is stretched now. I wonder why that is. I guess my resolution has not been changed. So I'm sorry, I'm flying over all these settings because I don't want to bore you with all these setup things. So that's 1080. Saving again. Let's just see what the render view does now. Let's just start the render. Okay, let's go to test resolution 50%. Okay, so why don't we see the background image? It might be related because the dome light is still active. Let's see what we can do here. Camera off. There we go. So the dome light is actually on top because it is visible in camera, and then you don't see the backplate. Okay, it is very bright because it is exported as sRGB, and this is like double sRGB on top now. The camera of the HDR and the camera of the background were different with different looks. Yeah, that's a comp question. You need to try to adjust the comp to get it working properly. So it's a bit more tricky than that. So apply color management here. You can just tick this off, and this will be now the default input, which is in this case sRGB. So that should be fine. I like to render in Rec 709. It's just a bit more crispy for the CG renders. Okay, so the first step is to create a camera. Create camera. I call this main or whatever you want, render cam, camera, hero one. There's so many different options. And what I'd like to do, I like to group my outliner in the things I have in those groups. So this is my light group, LGT. This is just habits of having an organized structure. And I just always tend to do that. And I guess I will be sharing this screen as this scene as well, so it's also for you to follow along and to be a bit more like organized in your whole setup. And again, it is on Patreon, so if you want to become a patron of mine, just get this patronship, and then you have access to all my source files. So camera, I don't know, let's just camera black. There we go. And let's just close this one. And I kind of know where I shot the image, so from what height. So I know it was about, let's say 1 meter in height. So I can go to the channel box and I can just scale it up by 100, which is 1 meter. And then this is 1 meter. So this, let's just make this plane 10 meters. So it's 1000. So this is now 10 meters by 10 meters. If I am correct, I think I am. And then I was shooting it kind of from this angle. And now the thing is, let's just scale this one up very big, like so. And now let's look through the camera. There it is. And let's see how the backplate looks. If we need some, okay, we definitely, I will add this this pillar here just to have some reference in the shot. Okay, so let's just, I'm not sure the size of this thing directly, but I would guess it's 2 by 1 meters, something like that, maybe 200 by 100, and then scale it up by, I don't know, 6 meters, 5 meters. So I'm actually just eyeballing this, like I just want to show you more or less the principles I use. If you work in a production, all this is done using MatchMove software and it's all done properly. Different tools have camera alignment tools. I think Maya does not have this one, which is very weird. And I don't understand why Maya does not have something like this. And then the focal length for the iPhone 7 camera, let's just check this out. iPhone, I think I have a 6S camera. Camera information or something. Let's see what we get here. Technical specs. Let's just try, is it focal length? I think that's what I'm looking for. Focal length. Let's just add that. Okay. We start pretty soon with shading, so I'm just setting up the lighting. I think I will be streaming. I try to keep it very short, so I get it going. I hope I will be done within 1 hour. I hope. So a little bit of Googling. 6S camera is 29 millimeters. So this is, I'll just believe this guy, and I will just use a 29 millimeter lens. Sensor is currently not that important. Okay, so it's 29 millimeters. There we go. So it's almost very fisheye-ish. And okay, so now the thing comes to placing it. So starting the render, looking through the main shape, and now we need to make it kind of see-through so we can align it with the camera. So to do that, we need to change the transparency, or first assign a new shader. Standard shader. Did it assign? Yeah, now it did. And let's just no specs, and we want to increase opacity, decrease the opacity. And for this to work, you need to change the shape node to be non-opaque. There we go. Back to the shader, bring in that again. And now you can see the lineup. And obviously it's not very good so far. And I think we will get into detail with when we have the car in it. So I'm just scaling that. Okay. And I guess we need to tilt it like this. And then I guess we can also rotate it in the world orientation. And you can see that these vertical things, I need to tilt it a bit to the side just to get the y-axis aligned properly. So I'm just rotating this now, looking here, just to align these pillars to be lined up. Something like this should be good. And okay, so that's the first step. It's very rudimentary, so I will bring in the car now. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm checking the chat messages. If you have any questions while I'm going with this, feel free to ask. So I'm importing the model, which should be, I hope, in here. Unfortunately, I cannot share this model because of licensing issues. So that's the thing you need to provide for yourself. So this is the model, and let's just group this into car. It's a nice German car. I will remove the namespaces because I don't like them. So namespace editor, delete those, merge with the root, close, and this is the car. So I think we will place it on the parking spot. I have not undersorted the plate, so I should have done that. I agree. You can use this in Nuke to create this camera and then undersort it, but I have not done it. Obviously, you should do it if you want to. If you have objects close to the edges or animation, you need to undersort your backplate. So perspective and the main. Okay, so let's start the render again. So there's the car. Let's just remove this, frame this. It's almost, from perspective wise, it feels like it's already there. So let's just move the top group a bit just to place it better in the parking space. Okay. Let's just lock the view so I don't accidentally lock anything. It feels actually pretty integrated just using this. So we will place it a bit better to the side a bit more and a bit more back. And I think we can live with that. I think that might be, let's just move it a bit more over. Maybe a bit skew so it did not park in properly. A bit more back. I think this could work already. Yes, that is correct, Brandon. I'm just doing this to line up the plate with a still image. You can do the same thing using a match move software to align still images. But just because I won't be, because I did not film the plate, I don't want it to do that process. So you're absolutely right. This can all be done using match move software. So this is the ground plane, opaque back on, sphere can, let's just create these, never mind, delete those guys. That's a pillar which I will be deleting. So I think for this setup, kind of the camera is good. We'll see about the lighting, and let's just assign a shader to the car, to the whole car. Frame this guy and assign a standard shader. And let's call this one AI base. And let's add a little bit of spec to it. So increase the roughness, reduce the IOR to 1.4, and let's just go with a mid gray, which is 1.8, which is 0.18. There we go. Saving, and let's just render. And this is what we currently have. So I think even the color mood is pretty good from the HDR. So this little sepia brownish tint, it feels kind of okay. And for now, let's just hide the floor like this. And we can see it is fitting in this space quite nicely. And we can see that this light from the top is actually lighting the car a bit. you can render CG distorted in the camera of the render camera or whatever camera. You have the option in Arnold, the bottom somewhere, to load in a UV map. Where is that? This UV remap, which should be distorting the image. So the distortion map, you would load it in here and then you would distort the CG render. That's something you can do with this UV ramp thingy here. Okay, so the next step would be to split up all the materials. So what I like to do, these are the windows and this is the head, like the glasses, the real lamps, and I think these are all glass. So what I like to do is I like to create selection sets, quick selection sets. Let's just call this glass, and the selection sets go to the bottom in here, and let's just hide the stuff from here. Sorry about that. So the next thing is the car paint, which is this guy. I think this is all the car paint there is. And let's create another one, call this car paint, and hide this as well. This is like just for me that I don't miss any parts. So this is the tire material, which will be, I just call this tire. And I'll just hide these guys again. The next one would be chrome, which will be the alloys, aluminum, or whatever we want to use these for. So rim. So what you can do now, you can actually use selection, name-based selection, star, rim, star, and we select all the rims. And then quick select set and call this rim. And let's hide those as well. And then we have, these are, I guess, chrome parts, which should be the logo and some shiny things. What else can this be? Maybe this guy. These are headlights. I'm not sure. This is, I guess, black plastic. I don't have a reference just yet, so this is chrome as well. The mirrors. The exhaust is rough metal. Okay, so let's just create another one. Call this one chrome. Hide, and then we are left with these. I think this stuff is like rough plastic. This might be reflective stuff. You see, I'm also like just checking out what can be changed, what can be used. And I guess we will follow along and add more stuff to this when we get there. So this one, okay, quick selection, let's call this black plastic and hide. So now we're left with brake pads. I get a problem when I try to put animated car on a snowy plate. How do you get around? If you can elaborate a bit more what the problem is, I'm not so sure what you mean by that. So this is the interior material. Let's just call this interior and hide. And then we have this one, which is also interior, but it might be black rubber or something. Let's just call this black rubber and hide. So we are left with brake pads, interior stuff. Let's just take these guys. They are called calipers. Copy, select by name. There we go. And quick selection set, caliper. Hide. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to rush through this. Okay, so I, like everyone on the world seems to like to watch this, and I cannot really make exceptions for all the people. And I also need to be awake, so that's why I'm doing this when I feel on the best. So this is when I'm doing it, and you can watch it when it is done recording, and you can watch it the next day because I will upload all this stuff. So break disk, select by name, and this will be for now the last selection I will be doing, and then we start shading. So star, let's go, and this will be break disk like this. Okay. So all the rest, I will just say for now is unshaded, and they have all the base, right? They've got the base material assigned already. So these are the shaders I will be creating. And okay, the next step would be to assign. I like to first do the most obvious surfaces, which will be the car paint, the tires, and the windows. So the first thing is let's just unhide all the things. Shift H. And let's head over to the glass. So every glass object needs to have a opaque switch. So now comes a tool I have been developing over the last 4 years, I guess, which is called an attribute control. And what it does, it's similar to the attribute spreadsheet where you can control several objects at once. So if you want to disable the opaque switch currently for the windows, you would go to Arnold, tick opaque off, go to the next off. So you would do this 3 times. With the tool I've written, it's called attribute control. This is what it looks like, and it always takes the whole hierarchy. So it takes shapes, transforms, and whatever you have selected, it adds to this object list. If you just want to select the objects, you can press the star and it will just select your current selection. So then you have mesh options, and you have lots of Arnold controls or support for RenderMan is also coming. So now you can just tick off here, and it actually just it does this for all the shapes at once. And that's pretty nice. So this is currently because I just have selected the transforms, and we need to do this on the shapes. We need to select the whole hierarchy. So let's just try this again. There you can see it's now toggling the opaque switch for all the objects. So if I hit off now, they are off, on, and it enables them for all the objects in this list. So which is pretty nice. So, and the cool thing about this as well is you can increase subdivisions. Like currently it's all set to be none, I guess. Let's go to subdivisions, they're all on none. So if I select the top group now of the car and I refresh, I get the whole car, like all the objects from the cars in here. And all I need to do is enable subdivisions at the bottom here to put changes to be Cat Clark, and all the objects have subdivisions enabled. Catalog 1, if I want to increase the increment, they are all now subdivision 2. So it's pretty simple. I'm actually developing this tool for Katana as well, so at some point I will be publishing this on my website for Katana too. So this is how it works, and the cool thing is you can also randomize values, which I will show you in a bit. So now we have the windows set up, and the windows are glass. So let's just assign a glass shader, create a new standard surface shader, go to the node editor, clean up this mess, and bring in the selection. There we go, that's the shader. So I want to rename this to be AI glass, and let's just rename the shading engine. I have a script actually which just updates the shading engines as well, so you don't need to do this step. Okay, so glass is created, saving. Let's just work on the glass shader for a bit, and let's just dock this guy to the node editor so it's always in my view. There we go. And let's just dock it. There we go. So this is now the car in here. Let's just change the test resolution to 100, zoom in so we are on the glass surfaces, and let's tweak the shader. So for glass it's pretty straightforward, I guess. It's just a kind of black shader, and then it's shiny. That's all there is to it. I wonder if that is correct though. We should see more reflections, I would guess. We see something here. I would guess the normals are maybe inverted. Let's just see what's going on here. If I create a chrome ball right on top, and assign the existing shader, which is the glass. Okay. It might be maybe correct. It's a very dull reflection currently. Okay, let's see what we got here. So we got reflection IOS, that works. So glasses, I think 1.55. If you're unsure, there's a database. I actually, some of you guys might know it, some of you might not know it. I have a shader app called Surface, like this, and in here you have all your values, and if you have reflectivity, you can see all those values in here. I need to add IOR actually, and you can have, like, I have glass. If you search for glass, you can see the reflection curves, and you can see it's fully reflective at 90-degree angle. So that's something we need to use, and the IOR is kind of that. So that's just the angle of refraction. So this is pretty cool for glass. I feel that the reflections are a bit dull. I would expect them to be way more shiny, but that's maybe because it's not a metal surface like this. So it is correct, I guess, because it is a glass. It is not shiny from the front as chrome would be. Okay, and now let's go back to transmission, enable that, and we have now transparent windows. And currently the the roughness is linked to the transmission roughness. So if you don't want to have frosted windows, you need to have the roughness on 0. So it's perfectly sharp reflections. Okay, let's just delete this guy and update the render view. Mr. Lütke, what tools are not working? Well, let me just show you all the bits and pieces quickly before we continue. So this tool set is on LightShaders. So this page is still heavily under development, so it is not really working just yet. So this LightShader page is where you can have access to my repo. So this would be on Bitbucket, or you can click this here to get to the Bitbucket link. And if you download LightShaders version 6, which is currently the latest, where you get the attribute control and the light control, which are 2 tools. So that is that. And what else? And the app is called the Surface Database, which you can find on iTunes. Only iTunes, just iTunes, no Android. No Android version. I kept yeah, anyways, so this is what it is. If you want to use that, that's where you can get it. It's for free, and this one is for free as well. So there's some documentation on the attribute control as well, which you can check out. Just keep in mind, this page is heavily under development. It is not officially released. You can have a look, but it is not currently properly published. So here's a car. We can see the refractions. Let's go to the car paint, or first let's find a reference image. So I'm not sure if it's a BMW 5 series. Is it a 5? It might be a 5. So, okay, it might be not the same model, but you can see kind of where we're going. So I guess we will go for a, should we go for just a silver? What color should I do? Just let me know in the comments below. Is it a 6 series? Thank you. Let's change it to 6. Oh yeah, that looks better. So we can go for pure white. We can go for black. What color should I use this crate for this car? Gasoline. What the hell is that? Orange metallic, the red one. I have a car seen with a car flipping on the ground. Okay, let's have a look at orange, because orange is an interesting color, and we can use this pearlescent. Oh yeah, let's try this color. Dark blue, yeah, red, tangerine, blue. Blue, green, red. Okay, I'll go for the red one. I like it. Will be this red orange thing, right? Let's go with this guy. I think that's pretty neat. So that's also a good reference image. Let's choose these guys. So this would be the reference. You can see it's very orange in the front, and then it turns to be like a darker red. Yeah, never mind. So okay, what you can do now, if you want to have this reference image in your session, You could use a hypershade to add a material view to load it in, or what I tend to do, I just tear this off, and I can have a plugin installed where I can actually do like pin it to the top like you can do on Linux. So this is now floating on top of my Maya session at all times. So this will be my reference now. Obviously, it's not in the same light environment, so we won't be having the same effect, but let's just see what we can do with this. So car paint, assign shader, assign standard surface shader, call this guy car paint. And this is AI car paint. And the shading engine gets the same. Copy, paste the name. Don't forget to save. What's a Linux plugin? That's also a very good question. Let me see if it's running here. It's called Alt Drag. That was quick. So Alt Drag is a plugin. So, and you can customize that, and then you can do these nice little add-ons. So I want to have the render view actually docked to the bottom here. Can I do that? There we go. And the view off should go maybe here. And this one, can I close this? I don't think so. Okay, so I've got the render view right here and the shader on the top. So let's just isolate this guy, move it a bit down so I've got more space in the shader. Okay, so the first thing I guess would be to create this color. So let's just do this for now. So let's just try to get a color of this red. I will just pick it in here, something like this. So this is now the front-facing color, as it is, very simple. And then we want to enable the metalness slider, because I think this is a metal car paint with a little bit of diffuse contribution and then a clear coat on top. So this is how I would set it up. So this is now the base metal, and obviously it is not shiny enough. So what I like to do, I like to create several shaders, because the new Arnold supports closures. You can actually combine shaders now with a mixed shader node. So I will create a another AI standard surface shader, which will just be the metal part of the shader. So this will be AI car paint base, and this will be mixed with another shader. Let's just stop the render for now. And this will be car paint coat, and then I will use a mix shader node, and I will combine those two guys. I will, for now, disconnect the car paint, and I will connect the mix shader to my surface of the shading engine, and I will rename this to be AI mix shader car paint. So everything should be obvious, which it is, I guess. And let's just connect shader 1 is the base, and shader 2 is the coat. So a very important thing to understand is you can break physicality very quickly if you use this add function. I will be using the add function, but it is important that you know what you are doing. So the car paint coat will be a black coating layer only. So it won't have any diffuse color, and it will only be a specular shader like this. And this will be the coat layer. What you can do, you could also use just this guy, the code for that. It's a different workflows. I just like to use it separate. It's a bit more clear for me to what is going on. Because if you want to have more than one lobe, you can't do this with this shader. You can only have one lobe and then a coating. But if you want to have two specular lobes, you would need to do this, what I'm doing now. So this is the base 1, which is the car paint, and the code 2. So let's just start the render again. Is it possible to back a displacement map into the geo over mesh? Good question. I think there is a way. Arnold utilities bake selected geo. I think that's what it's doing. It will bake out the geometric options, and you have obviously bake to texture as well. So you've got two options to do that. So my car has gone missing. Let's just bring it back. Perspective. Is it coming back? There it is. Okay. Okay, so let's try to use isolate selected, toolbar icons, debug shading menu, and let's go to isolate selected, and this will select the only the shaders I have. So this is the code, which you can see how it looks, just a black shiny coating, and then we have the base, which will be this orangey metal. So let's just pick this color again and make this a metal and make this rough like this. And then we can add a fall of colors. So you can use a ramp. I think that's what we should just use. Ramp texture. And this guy will connect to the color, the base color. And then we will use a facing ratio. AI facing ratio, which is just a camera fall off. And this should connect. Actually, where does it connect? Normally it connects in here to the UV. Sampler info, where does it connect? Let's just try this. I think it should go here. It's all messed up here. Or the other one is sampler info node, where you can use the facing information as well. So I think this one connects to this guy. Let's just see. Why doesn't it show up here? Well, at some point it should go to these UV cords. Let's just try this. I'm not sure. The connection editor is currently not working. Why? I don't know. So this guy is here, and the texture node is here. Facing ratio goes to the UV. Oh, is it? Sorry, it's in the ramp, and then this goes to, where is it? UV. Man, sorry for this. UV cord, there we go. So I think this one goes to the V coordinates. So let's just see how that looks like. Okay, we're still on isolate selected. Let's select the ramp. I'm not sure, maybe I'm messing this up now. It's possible. So this should actually control the UVs of the ramp. And let's just try to create a proper color here. Red and something bluish just for the test. And not change this here. Okay, so this is the base color. Let's just see if we can actually get it to work. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure why it's transparent. That's also very weird. Let's change this to BU. So something, as you can see, is not working as it should be. So the good thing about tutorials, I can actually pause and debug it. So I would be debugging this thing right now. Okay, so let's just see. Maybe I can read up in the docs what's going on here. Yeah, that's a good idea. I might just be trying to disable the 2D texture stuff. I'm not even sure if this guy is in here. Facing ratio. There it is. So maybe there is actually a way how it works. So this here returns available, returns 1, 0. Okay, they don't say how to connect it though. Okay, opaque for disabled. Let's just try this with this guy. So without the place 2D texture node, let's just connect this to the ramp again. Other. Why does the connection editor not work? Reload left and reload right. And the out value, I guess, goes to the UV, to one of those. Let's just try the V coordinate. Let's see what we got now. Yeah, Luke, that's actually a good question, a good answer. But I'm pretty sure it should work like that. I'm not sure why it's not connecting to the shader properly. So this goes to the facing ratio output is this guy, which actually should work already. So let's just create another surface shader or AI flat just for a test and create a sphere just for a test. That's actually a good idea. Like I'm doing tutorials and then I can actually read up on them to just know what I did in the first place. So it's a good reference to have those tutorials actually. So some of you get bored already, I guess. Sorry for that, wasting your time. But if it's too late or something, I am actually uploading this anyways, so there should be no problem for you to see it anytime later. So let's just see if we assign this guy now. Car paint, assign this guy. Standard surface shader, assign the sphere. Oh, sorry, assign this guy. Okay, and the ramp goes to the color, and then we should be somewhere better. Let's just try this again. Okay, render, update, full screen. Okay, there we go. So something is happening. Oh yeah, the ramp is set to you. Thanks for finding that out. There we go. I'm not sure why this transparency issue is happening. That's super strange. Okay, but that is working now. Thanks for this ramp shout out. I think this is a bug we need to report. It shouldn't be transparent in here. Okay, so everything is working. We can delete these guys and reconnect, bring back the car. Whew, sorry. Okay, the car's back, the shader is assigned, I hope, and let's just start again. Oh, I should save. I just saved, okay. All right, so now it is working finally. And we get a red front and a blue back. So let's just fix those colors up again. So the red one should be our orange, and then we should have a soft fall off in here. And just on the borders, we want to see a kind of red sheen. So let's just change this a tiny bit red and see what we get if you go. So this is now orangey, and then it fades to this red color. Okay, so that's kind of the base color. So what we want to do now is create this flake shader, right? AI flake is pretty nice, not flat flake, which creates these surface flakes like this, and this guy connects to the to a bump map in the shader. So the car paint base is this guy, which we want to connect it to. I keep saving. So this one creates, I create a 2D bump node, bump 2D node actually, and then this connects any slot goes to the bump value, and then we change this to tangent space, and the bump slot goes to the normal camera. And now we need to again try to debug this and see what's going on. So I'm making this now active, 3D manipulation active, so I can actually tumble the view and the render view. So I can zoom in here, go a bit closer, maybe to the headlight. like this so I can actually see the surface. And then we should be, depending on the UVs, you should be able to see something now. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This will be another debug, but you can see they are there already, these little flakes, which is good. So I just connected this to the bump and the bump into the shader, and then you can just change the scale of each flake. Oh no, sorry, the size of each flake is here, is a size later, and then you have like a density, which is this guy. So so this is the default how they look like, and the more you have, at some point they connect, and then you get these pretty nice connecting flakes like this, which is kind of what car paint flakes look like. And then you have the divergence, which is the offset of each flake. So on 0 it's just off, and then the more you introduce the normal randomize, the more those flakes get rotated. So if I would zoom out now a bit and change the shader, okay, so this is what we currently have, and it might be that you don't see it enough because the shader is very rough, or it's nothing happening at all. Is it connected to this guy? Yes, it is. So let's see why it's not really doing it. Does it need to be on object space? Possibly. So I think it needs to be on object space at this point. So there you go. You can see those flakes happening now. And if I change the roughness, you should see more of this effect happening. Obviously, the scale is way too big now. And oh, let's just disable this. And there we have this. You can see those flakes now. They are very big, which is not what they are in real life. So let's just change the scale to be very high and enable the isolate again. And then we can see the scale. We can see they're pretty tiny now. Let me just read the comments quickly. You have two OSL shaders. Yeah, they are not available yet, but I have them, yes. So I'm just adjusting the scale to something more readable, something like this. It's just a tiny adjustment just to make it a bit more interesting, and you can see how to create color paint shaders. Okay, so this is with the clear code. It seems a bit dark, but the environment is also pretty dark, so we might need to boost the HDR a bit. So let's go back to lighting and let's work on the sky dome light. And in the light you have samples. I like to work with 2 samples on the lights. And let's just increase the exposure to 1 stop more. Let's just see how that works out. So this might be a bit too bright, so let's go down 0.25, and this is something which is more reasonable. And I think I moved the camera accidentally. It very much looks like that. So we might need to readjust this. Unfortunately, I think I locked it though at some point. Maybe too late. So this is the main camera, and this is the render view. Yeah, I definitely did move it. So let's just realign it. So now all the stuff is starting from scratch. Let's just see how the render looks like now. Okay, it doesn't work. Let's move the camera down. Okay, and let's rotate it. You see these kind of things do happen if you don't set keyframes and if you don't set up your camera properly. You move the camera accidentally and you need to start from scratch. Okay. Almost there. Let's just go a bit closer. A bit more here. Okay. Okay, let's just lock it like it is right now. Okay, so this would be the first step, I guess, for basic lighting. So the next step would be if you want to add more highlights, like if you want to have these proper lights in the top, you would need to create those, either paint them out from the map or keep them in the map and just add new lights right on top. So let's just create an area light and save and create a light, Arnold lights. And I show you a cool thing with the tool as well. So Arnold area light, make this, try to work in real scale. So I guess it's 2 meters by maybe 20 or 30 centimeters, like these light sources. So let's select it here and channel box, and let's say it is 200 by, doesn't matter, by, I don't know, let's say 20, there we go. So this is, it's maybe not 2 meters, maybe it's 150. And let's try to place this over the car. So the car is now in a parking space, so it should be parallel to the car, and it should go up till here. The Ledges guy. Is it possible to give you money for each video you produce on Patreon? Yes, it is possible as well. I can just create these rewards. I think I need to find a way. It might be possible. It would be nice actually to do that. To create like patronships based on tutorials. I need to investigate. It's a good question. I'll try to. Why are you asking actually? So currently the light is here. Let's play. Let's just update. And unfortunately, these lights are not visible in the render, but I think it's kind of at the proper position. Let's increase the exposure, 10 maybe. Disable normalize. There we go. Now we see a bright reflection on the car. We can move it a bit. What is going on here? Man, something is messed up, I guess, in this scene. So if this works, it's a bit weird, everything currently. Okay, so the light is somewhere here over the car, and it is working as expected. So it's just maybe too bright. So now let's just reduce the exposure again. And if you want to have a reference sphere, it does really help just to see how the lighting works. So you would create a normal reference sphere, and then you would just place it just to see the amount of lights you get. I can set the light to visible. Let's see if I can set it to visible. I don't think I can, unless they changed it recently. Normalize cast shadows, cast volume rate. No, there is no way to make it visible. It's just currently for mesh lights. So you can see the light is now reflecting on the window here. There it is. Definitely it's too bright, but there's a new feature where you can actually soften the edges, so I like to do that as well. So you see this fall off now we get on the light instead of having this off, so it's a hard edge or it's a soft edge, which is very nice to get more realistic reflections. So that's the one thing. Yeah, so that's the one light. So you can actually now, if you want to duplicate this, replicate what we have in the view. I'm not sure why this object does not really, it goes up and down. It's super weird. So let me just group this guy. Maybe this works better. Windows modify center pivot, and then maybe this works better. Yeah, it's a bit offset, but it does not matter so far. So the cool thing about the attribute control is, let's just call this ceiling lights. Ceiling lights. And what I can do now is I can duplicate those lights if I can actually move them properly. And Shift D to replicate the duplication, like all these lights now. And I can group them again, and I can duplicate them again and move it over. So I create these lines of lights. Let's just change the camera view to be bigger so we can see more. So let's say this is the parking garage. And now we want to move the lights over the car, like so. So, and now the cool thing is what you can do now with this attribute control, you can control all these lights at once, which is very powerful. So if I unhide the plane and do this, and let's just start the render. Should take a while, I guess. Okay, so I think we're rendering actually at full resolution. So this is now 50%. And this is now the render. So let's head over to perspective. And now you can see what's going on in the top-down view. You can see those lights, the beams of light. So what I can do now, I can select the group of my ceiling lights. And I can open up the attribute control. And all the lights are selected. Right, all the lights are in here. So now you can actually go to the light tab and you can change the light color. You can add intensity. So let's bring in some Kelvin color to this. So I enable Kelvin, and let's say we want a warm color. So we change the Kelvin to 5000, or not. This is my UI bugging out again. Let's try it again. Yeah, I don't know. Now it's working. Enable Kelvin and set it to 5000. And now we should have a warmer. I think the UI is bugging out again. Maybe I shouldn't do tutorials on the beta version. Okay, let's try it one more time. As you can see, it's all not very well working so far. Kelvin? Okay, now Kelvin works. So Kelvin is on. And if I change the value here, okay, now it's working. It's just working for the one beam though. Weird. So let's just try to select this group again. And update. And let's try this again. So on, off. Okay, that seems to work now. Okay, so now what you can do is change the color. Yeah, there we go. So now you can actually randomize the color as well. So each light has a bit more, like not every light is perfectly the same color intensity and color temperature. So what you can do is, which is a very nice feature, you can randomize the random Kelvin values. So you can say, I want to range them from 5500 to, let's say, 6000 Kelvin. And this randomizes each light with a different Kelvin color. So you can see this guy is now on 5.8. The next guy is on 5.6, 5.7. So they're all a bit random. And then you can also change the same with exposure. So you can actually, let's say you like the light intensity as it is right now, which is currently exposure, I think, of 4.2. So let's just copy this. And what you can do now, you can randomize that as well. So I could go to random exposure and say I want it ranging from 4 to 4.5 and set that. And each light gets adjusted. Obviously, in the big picture, you don't see the effect. But on smaller scale, you can actually see these nice differences in those reflections. And obviously you have all the other controls here as well. You can randomize them, you can increment them. So if you want to incrementally increase all the light exposures, you can say I want every light to be half a stop brighter, and you can increment that, and you can see in the render it updates half a stop brighter. Or if you want to reduce it by half a stop, you can just have a negative value in here, which will give you the same result. So increment, and we should go down a stop. It's updating here, but it's not updating in the render, so there might be some updating issues, but let's just retranslate. And then we should see something going on. Let's just save before it crashes, stop the render, and let's head over to the perspective camera, to the render camera, and re-render. I'm not sure what V-Rays clipper function is. Okay, so this is getting somewhere now. So obviously we have very strong reflections on the car, but you can see the shadows are working and the rest, the car paint is kind of working. We don't have this nice hot spot, but it is definitely somewhere. And I just wanted to show you all the principles so it won't be as polished as the final result. So let's just maybe work with this so far and just change like maybe the car tire shader quickly and then the chrome. So let's just head over to select the tires, zoom in here, frame this guy, and assign a shader to the tires. So favorite AI standard surface shader and call this AI tire, which is a black rubber. So we will have a very low value of maybe 0.02 for the color. We have a roughness. I don't know the IOR of rubber. It's something around, I guess, 5-ish. And let's just change the camera to perspective. And let's just get a bit closer to the tire and see what we get here. So I think for rubber, it might be a bit too bright still. So let's just go down a bit more. Yeah, and maybe make it a bit more shiny. Maybe 1.6. And this is what we got. I guess this is too shiny. Let's just try 5. And maybe 5 and roughness. So this is the car tire material, and let's check the chrome for the rims, and let's give those guys a chrome shader. Favorite AI standard service. I'm running out of time. That's why I'm rushing this a bit now, and I don't want really to bore you guys. I want to show you the integration for Nuke as well quickly. So this is now a metal chrome. So increase the roughness to get a like a brushed metal. And you can see what we get now. This is something which might work. It might be a bit too chromy, so let's just bring down the base colors, something to 0.6. And I guess this is better looking. So let's change the mode to progressive so we just see the final step, which renders a bit faster. And yeah, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It just helps me to push the content out and people will see the live stream. So if you like it, just give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. It's just to see your reactions on those videos. So I'm still waiting for the render. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. No, I don't think it has that. Okay, so this is now the chrome tires. Let's head over to the main, enable progressive again. So this is now where we're at currently. Well, should we try the headlights quickly? How do they look? Gloss, that's correct. So this is currently what we have so far. So I think the shadows are pretty good comparing to the rest of the thing. So let's just create a render layer now to create this. What should we create a render layer? Not sure. I can actually just hide and unhide this quickly. So let's set up the AUVs quickly. AUVs, built-in AUVs, and I want to use diffuse direct indirect, spec direct indirect, diffuse, not sure, we actually don't have anything, but anyways, and we want to have transmission direct indirect. Okay, so that's the one, and then we can use this shadow mask, I think, as well. So let's see what we get now. So diffuse is just the floor, then we have the indirect for the bounces, shadow mask is black, that's correct, specular direct is that one, and the indirect is here. and transmission. Yeah, so all the passes are working. I tend not to use mesh lights because they are not as good in sampling. There is no cryptomat for Arnold just yet. They are working on it, so there is no implementation so far. These guys are, I think it was a black rubber, wasn't it? No, black plastic. So let's just assign a quick plastic shader for these guys. Something like this, and we want to have a bit of roughness to this. Something like that should be fine. I can try to render deep, but then we need to batch render that, and I'm not sure how long it will take for this tutorial to finish up. So I can just show you the setup. That should be fairly quick. So all you do is go to AUVs, you create a new AUV. Let's call this beauty and then deep. And what you have to do is in the translator, you need to change this to EXR, deep EXR RGB. And then in the settings of the AUV node, you have the control to control the depth. Where is it? I just had it here. So this is the depth and the tolerance values. So obviously it's important to have proper values. If you have too low or too high values, you get a high file size, and you need to find an average value so you don't get any artifacts in your deep stuff. And I think the defaults are okay. Not the best, but okay. So this would only render deep. This would render deep RGB, which in most cases you don't need. You just need the deep information, so you can actually render deep alpha only, and you do that in the render settings. So you can just change this to be float. So you render deep EXR as a float, which is a single pass, and this should output deep alpha channel, and that you can then use a nuke to recolor. So let's just see if we for now, just make the ground primary visible off. So we go to Arnold tab in the shape, and we disable primary visibility. So it should not render. Let's save and render. And we should just get the car now, but it should be occluding the ground. So to do it properly, what you could do is you can use a plate as a projection onto the plane. So you would see these stripes reflecting here. Unfortunately, like I'm running really late and I really struggled. So I won't be showing this. I will try to output this render now with some better settings. So I will go up to 4, let's say 4. Maybe let's try 5 and save. And let's try to do a batch render actually. So render pass, let's just check. I almost never do this kind of thing. So we want this raw. We want the name changed. So render pass. I actually don't have a render pass. So let's just call this, will it just be beauty, I guess. We just render 1 frame. We want to render the main camera, and then it's full HD now, so it should be fairly quick, I guess. So let's just see if this actually does work. Batch render, allow, and we should get the process running now. CPU is going up. It depends. If I render with depth of field, I go up to 11 or 12. If I just have motion blur, I go up to 8 in most cases, and then keep all the other samples on 1. What deep is for, I will show you in a second. Is it running? I think it is running. Let's see where it does output it to. Live integration, Maya should go in images. So they are coming in right here, which is correct. Let's see how it looks in a second. So what deep is for, you can use deep compositing, which means you don't need to create any holdows anymore. So if I will just render a sphere in a second. And I will show you how it works. My workstation, CPU and RAM. You can see CPU is this guy, RAM is this guy. Nothing too crazy. 7 hours up, 7 days actually, interesting. Yes, diffuse all at once should be on 1. Diffuse spec 1, it's all 1, and then mostly it's CIA samples. Depends if you have interior scenes, you obviously need more diffuse bounces. If you have lots of shiny objects close to each other and you need to see all those reflections, you would need to increase your specularity as well. So is there actually an output? Let's see. My machine gets really slow now. Script editor. 7% done? That's not good. Well, this will take a while. That's not good. No, let's just cancel this. We can't wait that long, guys. I'm sorry. Cancel batch render. I hope it does cancel it. I think it never worked. CPU still running. It's dropping now, so I think it stopped. Yeah, it did stop. Okay, let's go down to 4 maybe, and let's just render half HD, 540. Hopefully this goes faster. Render, batch render again. Yes. Oh, does the stream? Oh yeah, the stream dies actually. Maybe I need to get more power to, more resources to the OBS. I guess. Yeah, it seems the stream is struggling while rendering, so I need to add more resources to the streaming software. Hopefully this solves the issue now. I don't know. It gets definitely more CPU now. And let's just change the Maya process to a lower tier. So let's find that. Is the stream back on or not? Well, we see it. It says YouTube says it's offline, so I don't know what's going on now. Okay, script editor. Let's check this out again. What do we have? Okay, it's 55. It goes quick now, so hopefully we'll have a render soon and we're back online in a second. Okay, I think that's it now. Yeah, render is done. So hopefully the stream comes back online now. We'll see what's going on. We got full runtime on OBS. Anyways, we'll see if the stream comes back online. I'll just continue. And let's bring in the renders and see how they look like. Okay, it's back. Sorry about that. So resources, Maya images. The render is done. It was a half res. So let's see what we got. If we got anything at all. Yeah, watermark. But we have the render, which is good. Let's see if we actually can get in the deep read. See if that did work. Deep read. Let's see if we got this working as well. Yeah, we have deep information, so let's go deep to points. And we should see the car in here. These are the what is that actually? Is that the plane? No, I don't know. So that's very strange. I'm not sure what this information is back here. Anyways, but you can see you have the car now in here as points, which is very good. It's just float. So what you can do now is you can use deep read color like this. You have the color pass of your render, and oh, I think it's the watermark. And then you just recolor this with your deep information, and then you should get a deep color. And then you have it. There you have your car in deep space. And I think that's the Arnold PL, or I don't know. There's some text here. Never mind. So this is your car. And now if you would have different objects, like let's say you had these pillars also rendered in CG, like these pillars, and the car was moving in front and behind the cars, you would just render the environment as deep as well. And in Nuke, you would see those pillars in Z space. So you would have one here, one here, one here. And then if the car would be moving and coming in front or behind the car, all you got to do is actually just merge several deep maps. So there's a deep merge, like a normal merge, like this, and you could just merge deep channel 1, and then you would merge deep channel 2. Obviously, this is not working now because I don't have more than one car or pillars or something. But you would just merge those processes together, and then you would get a simple, easy way of compositing like really crazy stuff. They used it on Planet of the Apes, I think, on where the apes are running over the bridge, and they had to integrate the apes with the bridge and the cars, and they used deep for the first time, and it was very successful. So anyways, that's what deep is. Now let's just quickly bring in those passes. Should be my diffuse indirect. So this is a thing a pipeline is for. So a pipeline would actually load in all these things automatically, and you don't need to do all this crap what I'm doing now. So I'm just trying to rush this quickly. And indirect, I should have added the pass name as well to the file name, which I didn't. And let's just try to get the beauty as well, just for reference. Okay, so these guys are refraction, specs, not sure. What is this? This is direct transmission, diffuse indirect, diffuse direct, and diffuse. So if I merge all these together, I should get the beauty, hopefully. Yes, so I get the beauty, which is perfect. So, and then what you can do, you can do it a bit properly, so it's a nicer lineup, which I don't have. I really try to rush this quickly. And then you add a merge node and you plus them together. So this plus this, like this, and then you have a plus operation. And then you copy this, paste this, plus those two together, paste, plus. This is your typical Nuke setup. I like to have only perpendicular lines, so no lines go askew. It's just, I guess, German thing, just to keep everything straight and organized. I've seen compers use like crazy, like unorganized things where arrows go from like skew and in all directions. Okay, so that's what we got, and then we need to reformat. I think we use this plate, and we rendered in a half HD. So this is now I think 1920. Yeah, and we just reformat this again and we scale it by 0.5. We should get half HD. No, I did not merge it into one EXR, so I did not use the shuffle node. I think even, and I'm not sure how you can set this up in batch rendering. Not sure. Which is also not that of an issue. So A over B, we need a alpha here. So this has a white alpha map. Or how does it work? I think A over B. That's always the confusing part for me. So I think they don't have an alpha. That's the issue. So let's just copy the original alpha from the beauty. Yeah, let's just copy this guy with a K operator. There we go. And like this. So the car is now the alpha channel. And here's the car. So this would be a simple integration. Obviously, you see the watermark now, which is a shame, but it's easily fixed. You can just, you would actually, what you need to do is unpre-multiply all this stuff beforehand. Copy, paste, paste, paste. So it's all unpre-multiplied, and then you pre-multiply it at the bottom. Like so, and now you can do all the color corrections. Okay, the problem is there's no alpha, so we actually don't have this. I wonder why I did not render this with alpha channel, or is there one? No. So you would need to copy the alpha channel over to get this effect working. So let's just never mind about pre-multiplication. Let's just fix up the watermark using a roto quickly, just to get rid of the Arnold in the alpha. So I'm just using a mask very quickly just to do this. And I will replace this and I will invert this. And I will paint this guy black. Didn't this work? Why doesn't it work? There we go. Okay, now the only thing it is in the color, so we can use the same thing. We could actually remove this from the color ones as well using the same roto map. So the only thing which is missing now is the shadows, and we need to paint out the reflections quickly as well. So let's just first fix up the plate. So what I like to do is use a color correct node, which is just C. Well, yeah, I can paint out the watermark. Never mind. So, okay, so what we want to do is we want to paint out the reflections from the lights from here from the plate. So I use a color correct node, and it has shadows, midtones, and highlights. So it's pretty cool. So the first thing what I do is I increase the gain of the highlights pretty high, and now I can actually change the ranges of the highlight node, and then I can have a nice mask for the highlights which I need to paint out. So this is how it works. I'm just changing the range, making it a bit bigger, and then I'm doing the same for the shadows. So the shadows go up. So everything which is now completely white are shadows. So now I can change the range on the shadows too. So I want to have a bigger effect on shadows. So I'm just increasing that. So all the white areas are now my shadows. And now what is the midtones? All the rest is the midtones, right? So you can see. So now what I can do, I can actually just bring down the gain of the shadows, and you can see I'm actually fading them out like so. And the same effect applies for the midtones. So I can just easily paint out all the reflections. Very simple. And I'm pretty sure there needs to be more time spent on this to make it look really nice. But this is how you would paint out reflections. So you can see something is already happening. And obviously you would just use it in a smaller range. So you would rotate it around the shadows of the car. So we need to get this really dark values, right? So I think we need to play a bit more of the midtones and the gain. And then we need to work on the ranges a bit more. So this is the highlights, and then the shadows need to be bigger, so we have a bit bigger range. And then this is what we have so far. Obviously, I'm not a comper, as you guys can see. But now what we can do is we can just create a rotor mask for around the cars. So this would be now, I don't know, something around here. I don't know, something really rough like this, and use this guy as a mask. And then we should only be focusing on that area, which is currently not working. For match, I can show you how I would match the black points. First, I need to see why this guy is not working. Why is this mask not working? So I'm changing that. The mask is the alpha, and this alpha guy is white, so I need to replace it. There we go. Okay, and then I can feather that. Obviously, there goes lots more work into this. If you want to do it really professional and looking good, you need to spend a long time on this to get it right. Obviously, you can see we don't have any shadows just yet. So what you can do is render the shadow paths, which I will show you in a second. So this would be that. And let's just blur this a bit more just to soften out these edges like this. So almost removed, but obviously we need to create a rotor for the stripe and everything like that. Sorry, so to match the black points, I would just use a grade node. So, and I mostly would just eyeball it. So you would see this is pretty, like this is like from the plate, right? So you can see this is very dark. So I would need to match the black points kind of to the same effect. And to do that, I will just use a grade. And I will just match those colors mostly by eye. Depending, you need to have a good monitor, like a proper color corrected monitor to do that. So you would just increase the black levels, or you would just lift it up and then gain or something like that. So let's just do the pre-multiply right here. Save actually. So that's a pre-multiply, and then it's unpre-multiplied. So now you can actually just if you want to increase the blacks. So this is a dark gray, so we definitely want to bring up those blacks like this. And so I would just really subtly eyeball this using lift or gain. So you would have this dialog, and then you would slowly bring in some color to this if you want to match the tints. So this would be really subtle. So you would check in these values, and you would go to the black points, and you would increase the black points really subtly to something maybe like this. And obviously we are missing the shadow, so I will be rendering that out pretty quickly. So I'm not creating render layers now, so I will be just quickly doing this in the IPR session. So the ground is primary on, and now all the cars should be primary off. So I will use my UI again, attribute control, and everything gets primary visibility off. And let's save and render. So we should just get the floor now, hopefully, which we do get. And then the floor will get a new shader, which is the shadow matte shader. There it is. Play. And now we need to do this. And I think we should get the mask, which is the overall mask. So we will be just using this guy for now. And this will be my shadow. Well, in the render, I try to do it as close as possible to match the blacks. But there you will always get a mismatch, because in the plates you get these, it is mostly lifted a bit. So it's hard to do this kind of effect in lighting. So if you want to do that, you would need to fake it by creating an ambient light or something similar to get the same effect. So it's hard to do it in lighting, like everything. I would use I will show you in a second what I would use for that. So progressive is off, and let's just render this. So now I'm just running out the shadow mask. So in the meantime, what I also like to do is create this this blur, like this glow effect, right, which you see on these lights. I have something like Expo Glow, I think. Not sure if I will ever find it. Let's just see if I can import it. Import, insert comp nodes, training, resources, assets, nuke. How is it called? APMAT, Expo Blur. This is like exponential blur. Is it working? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so what I like to do, I use a Kia node as well for that kind of stuff. And I am using the final render, and then I'm keying the alpha, the bright spots again. So all these highlights. So if you have glints or something like that on your object, like metal objects like this, I would use this, and then I would pre-multiply it. So I would copy the alpha channel to the render, I think like this. Shift X. Okay, so this is the alpha channel, and then I would use a pre-multiply. And then I just have the highlights, and then I would create a blur for this. Let's see if it works. Exponential blur, there it is. And then you can control this a bit just to create this fall off. And then I would plus it after the multiplication on top. So plussing it like so. And then we get this glow. Definitely way too strong, but I will play around with that a bit. Okay, so obviously too strong effect, but you can see what is going on. You can see on the rims it's actually pretty cool. And currently it's doubling up. So before you plus it on top, you need to remove it from the image. So I use a merge and a from node. From, there it is, and I subtract this guy. So let's see. So what I did, I was removing all these highlights and then I'm plussing them back on top. So this is what we get. So it might be too much. Oh wait, what am I removing here? No, that's not right. I need to do this guy. Okay, so now I remove the highlights and I plus them back on top. So this is just a bit cleaner, so I'm not doubling up on those values. So this is what I'm doing here. And then obviously the effect is too strong, so you can bring down the multipliers or make them larger, whatever. So this is some comp related stuff, right? So I'm trying to match these highlights here, which is now pretty close, I think, or close enough. So let's see what we have in the render. This is my shadow pass. All these steps are coming from all those lights. So save image. Let's see if this works. Shadow.exr. Let's see what we get in nuke. Obviously, this is a bit hacky because it's not a combined EXR file, but it is working, I guess. So my image is shadow. Let's see if we get it. We got it. There we go. So this is now a mask as well. So I would use this as a color correct node. and I would place it here as well. Use this as my red channel. The mask ranges goes to red, and now I can just bring down the shadows. What is this? Why is it not working properly? Maybe I need to do it first on the main guy. There we go. Okay. So this is now with the car shadow on top, and obviously you need to match those shadows as well, something like this. So this would be now a rough implementation of this. So obviously what you can do now, there is no way to add glow as a post effect in Arnold. That's nothing you can do like in Maxwell or I think V-Ray or no. I think those two have these post effects. Yeah, so this is still very clean render. So obviously everything needs to be more shaped and rounded, but this would be a like kind of all the steps I went through in the creation of the Mini Cooper. Yes, sure, you can use the same technique for animated things. You have to, because then you have animated shadows and everything will just work together pretty nicely. For these tutorials, I cannot do this because of it takes a while to render all this stuff and do all these edits. But this is kind of what it is, right? And for the Mini Cooper, it was like all the work I did on the Mini Cooper were exactly the same thing. I was just spending way more time on this. So let's just go to that quickly. Training, live. Open with photos. So that's that, right? And why is it so on? There we go. So for this, I spent way more time on compositing to lift the to match the blacks and everything. So I was doing the grades and everything like that in Nuke. And you can see I also added the same glow effect on here, which is the same on the light sources and the shadows. So this is the same approach. Obviously, this is not finished yet because I need to spend way more time to make it look really nice. And I think I might be able to do that in a while. So if you have any questions, ask them now because the stream will end very shortly. So keep popping out those questions. For the lettuce guy, I will try to set something up like that to yeah, I need to find a way to do that. I think it is possible on Patreon. I will let you know how it works out. So I will try to do this patronship just based on tutorial contents. So what I can do is I think I can just ask those guys if that's a thing which is possible to set up. Yeah. So what else is there to talk about? So obviously, if you want to do it properly, you would break out the render layer. So you would use the render setup to create a shadow path. So you would create a new layer, call this one shadow, and this other one would be the main. And then you would do the primary visibility stuff. Let's just call this beauty then. So in here, you would just have the car. And in the other one, you would have the car primer visible off. Yeah, and the next tutorial, by the way, will be very awesome. Or I think it will be. Like the next one will be, if everything goes to plan, released on Friday. And a friend of mine, actually a patron supporter, Alec Drake, he became a patron and I helped him with some lighting setups and it was pretty successful. So, and he's actually a modeler. So I asked him if he could help me out with a model for a new tutorial, and he actually did help me out, and I was really happy that he did. So I was shooting some references, and I'll show you what it's about. So I'm just loading up the pictures quickly. So it will be a Substance Designer fully tutorial. So if I load up the lonely screen guy, I think that's what it's called, and switch this guy. So this will be the Substance thing which I'm working on. So it is a hydrant. Oops, that was my burger. So I think it will be pretty nice, and Alec, he actually modeled this for me. So I will just show you now what the model looks like. Import, 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 import. And then it's in downloads. Man. So this is the model I got from Alex. So it's very detailed, which is very nice. So I can definitely work with that and create some nice Substance Designer things. So it's UVs. The UVs are pretty sweet as well. So it will be, I think, a pretty successful tutorial this time. I will record this over the weeks and we'll post this on Friday if everything goes to plan. What normal AUVs do you mean? VDBs and deep, yeah, it works pretty good. We use that in production as well. It's obviously you need to have a higher tolerance value, so you get less artifacts in those soft deep values, but it is working. What could you show what the new normal AUVs? I'm not sure what you're referring to. What? Well, I didn't actually show you the other tool, so let's just first do that. The LightShader, this light control tool, is also a thing I developed. So lights, area lights. Let's create a few area lights and open the light control. So what the light control does is it lists you all the lights, and you can click it, and then it's actually directly looking through that light. So you can quickly position lights, change their values, their intensities, exposures, and you can quickly set up some lighting with just this UI, and you don't need to go to the attribute editor and scroll and search for values. It's all in here in one easy way to access this. So if I would start the render now without the backplate of that, let's just bring in some exposure to 10 maybe. I'll look through perspective. Okay. So now what you can do, you can have area light 1, you can rotate this, let's just increase progressive, and you can see it's very nice and it's fast. So this is now my main key light. I can change Kelvin color or whatever. So Kelvin on, orange Kelvin, then you go to light 2, which is more like a rim top-down light with have exposure of 8 or 10. There you go. Now you can see that something going on. You can have a blue Kelvin for this. And you can very quickly light up your scene. And if you want to have a fill for the front shadow side, let's just move it there as well. I think it's somewhere around here. Exposure 8. There is a fill for the shadow side. And that's how quick you can use this tool to light your scenes. That's very simple. It works with... Can I show you how to install them? It should be fairly simple. Yeah, let's just quickly show you. So you go to LightShaders, you download this folder, LightShaders. And then the trunk is, you can put it wherever you want. Let's just put it to the desktop. And then all you got to do in your Maya environment file, It is in Documents in Maya, and then your project. And if you edit this file, all you have to do is add this Maya module path, and I actually have documentation on this here. So wiki. So this is wherever you put this trunk thing, you need to add those two variables to your my env file. So this is wherever you paste it to, and then this is important. So you have to have trunk, LightShader, Maya, and your Python path should be wherever you put the trunk folder, and then it should be working. Yeah, that's how simple it is. And if you don't get it working the first time, you can go to the properties of Windows My Computer and go to environment variables, and you can add Python path in here as well. And the Python path is where your trunk would be. So it is where the location, and then you do the slash, and then you add it to trunk, and this is the thing you would add as well. And then it should show up in your menu bar, and then you should have it. That should be fairly simple, I guess. So what else? Yeah, so look forward to the new tutorial of Substance Designer, and then there will be also a tutorial coming up with Quixel Mega Scans, which will be also very exciting. How to use those fancy things. I can show you a quick introduction. What it is. Megascan Studio is like a scanning platform of highly accurate and detailed scans of surfaces. So this is something I was playing with. Let's just stop the render. Close this guy. Close this guy. I'm working, I think, with 8K. That's why it takes a while to load them, and I think the stream will not be happy. Well, it's loading the textures. Yes, these tools are open to use in production. It's open source, and when I was working for Cinesite in London, we actually I implemented those tools there, so it's open source for all the guys to use. I'm not sure where Oleg modeled the hydrant. Anyway, so this is Mega Scans, and it looks very awesome, right? So this is actually real time, and you can export all those maps into your Maya renders. So what is this thing? So I'm just disabling those layers now currently. So this is a browser. So all these materials, you can download them from the internet, and then you can view them. So if I have my clay, which is my ground, this is just a scan with some displacement map, and I can change colors, everything I want in here on the fly. I can change reflections, glossiness, roughness. All these things are very easily changeable. And then based on height maps and occlusion maps, I can actually add different layers. So now I'm adding a soil mud on top of this. Let's just show you. So you can see what's going on. It's building up on the clay. You can see that. Get now these different textures on here, like these things. You can offset them. You can change also color for those guys, make them darker, mud, or whatever. And offset them. Lots of different options to do. And then the cool thing is you can also add a water layer, a liquid layer on top. So this is like creating puddles of water. And you can see now it looks very wet and dirty. So I can actually lift the water level as well. Now we got a pretty nice surface level. And you can see it's now getting very nice and wet and smushy. And what you can do, you can export these maps in Maya or whatever, your real-time engine, and you can just use them on the fly. And I will show you a pretty nice tutorial about this also very soon. Yeah, so I will ask where he modeled it. I'm not so sure exactly. I think it was Maya, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in again. It was a bit like we had a rough start with this tutorial because Maya was crashing and all this crap, so I did not have enough time to finish up a nice shading session. But it was mostly based for you guys